Every morning is an opportunity to connect with Jesus. Whether you're looking to get started or looking to grow more, DDPC is for you. Join us as we connect with Jesus together.
All right, welcome everybody. Good morning, Instagram. Our little behind the scenes blip there, but good morning. Good to see you, Sarah and Tanya and Paula and Diane and Kathy and CB Fur and Tom Keefe. God bless you. Welcome to Daily Devotion. Pastor Chris, Sandy Ames, Nancy Negron, Janine. Good to see you. God bless you, Eileen. Anne Marie, Deb Click, Denise, Yvonne, Scott. Good morning, Dad. Good morning, Susan Hotchkiss. God bless you. Welcome, Elizabeth Orlando. Good to see you, Angel Marie and Connie and Stan and Betty and Daniel and Eileen and Rich and Renee and Thomas and Colette and Jacqueline and Cookie and Melissa Morse. God bless all of you. Esther Grantham, good to see you. Welcome, all of you. Thank you for being a part of Daily Devotions with Pastor Chris, Gene Hickman, Tina Powell, Kim Zabrowski, Matt Gill. Good to see you, Athena Deffoltz. Good to see you, Izzy. Welcome, William Schmidt, Heine. Thank you for being on. Good to see you, Tony Fetchy. Welcome this morning. God bless all of you. And welcome to this morning's stream. Andrew, good to see you, bud. Thank you guys for hanging on and for giving me a couple extra minutes. The school buses are a real deal. So Debbie Fogler, good to see you on today. God bless you. Kim Sikelski, thank you for being on. Timothy Jones, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for all the wonderful hearts that you're showing me on Instagram. Appreciate that. I think that's easy. I'm not sure. It's really, really small on my screen, but thank you for the love. Loving you guys back. Tamara, welcome. Thank you for being on this morning. Welcome, Marika and Attila. Thank you guys for your constant love and support. Welcome, all of you. Well, guys, today we're going to get into this today quickly. And mostly just because I'm running a little behind and I don't want to keep you. I will tell you I'm going to enter into a sticky subject matter and one that I can't fully unpack. There's just too many layers to it. But something I just at least feel like we need to address at least in brevity. And you're probably aware by now that there was a Supreme Court draft that was leaked a couple nights ago. It hit the news cycle by storm yesterday. It's still on fire today. And no doubt this will become a major talking point for weeks and months to come. Sadly, it's going to be a talking point not because not because of the gravity of the travesty that was done by the leaking of information from one of our nation's most cherished institutions, our Supreme Court, but because it will become a tool for politics. And that just, when you're dealing with the subject of human life, it just absolutely, it's so tragic. And so, but here's the reality. I'm not making a political statement today, but I will tell you that, as we're entering into the primaries for the 2022 elections, the Democratic Party needs something substantial to distract America from the border crisis, from the war in Ukraine, from the skyrocketing inflation, from the absurdity of oil and gas dependence, and from nonsensical things like paying off $1.6 trillion in student loan debt, just forgiving that. And just like this. And they need something to distract and draw people's attention elsewhere. And for a lot of people that are on that side of the aisle, and I'm not saying everybody by any stretch, but there are a lot of people that really, really hang their hat on freedom of choice, and they believe in the preservation or the decision making of the person is more valuable than the person that's inside of them. And so this leak is an atrocity. It is truly an atrocity on the nation's highest court. It's one of the most reverenced institutions that we have, the Supreme Court. And it's sad that somebody would see this and become an opportunist and take information, and it's all it is it's a draft. I mean, that's what the problem is, that it's not even a final decision. It's just a draft. Like, this is kind of where we're at. This is the minutes from our last meeting, and this is where we are in our country. But this is where it's at. It's like nothing's off limits, nothing's sacred, nothing seems to actually matter anymore. And the leak revealed that that the court's leaning on a decision that would potentially overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, understand that leak, if you will, or that draft doesn't outlaw abortion, but it does make some steps toward empowering states to govern and to make their own laws, which is what they should do anyway, in my humble, correct opinion. But anyway, so and I had to say, I'm so disappointed in our governor, who yesterday here in the state of Connecticut, who doubled down on this and on his commitment to allow and to celebrate and to help the murdering of babies here in Connecticut. That's where his stand is. And there's of course they wouldn't view it that way. They would view it differently. But there's a couple emails that went out yesterday from his desk just to make sure that everybody knew that what he and his administration said before, that he's standing by that. And no matter what anybody else does, we're still going to permit these abortions. And so anyway, that's, the whole thing is so upsetting. It's upsetting that there was a leak. It's upsetting that we're at this place in our country. It's upsetting that people even that this is an argument at all. And honestly, the hysteria over the potential of this happening is just another example of the Twilight Zone snippets that I was referring to yesterday. I mean, I sit back and I see, and I really do try not to watch and embrace the news too much, but man, like it is just so overtaken the news cycle. I mean, it is a big deal, and they're hysterical, like, oh man, like now if Roe v. Wade gets turned over, then what? Then they're going to burn your houses down, and they're going to, we're moving toward fascism, and I mean it's like what? It's crazy talk, and I just asked myself, in what world have we become so morally bankrupt that there's no true value of life? And look, here's the reality. The reality is that most people, despite what you might hear on mainstream media, most people do have a value of life. Most people do value absolute truth. Most people do want to have guardrails in their life that keep us on track. Most people do want to support police. Most people do want to have justice. Most people do want to have rules and regs. It's what keeps us sane and keeps us safe. But if you want to take the subject of abortion down to the brass tacks of it all, the core of the problem of unwanted pregnancy stems from yet a different sin altogether. Now, I know that this is not the case in every single situation, but certainly in the large majority of women who go to these places to have an abortion, in most of the cases, the large majority, men and women, or even boys and girls, have made choices, sexual choices. They've chosen to be promiscuous, to be sexually active outside the marriage covenant, which I know seems like an archaic way of thinking, but it's biblical. It's biblical for a reason, right? And as a result, biology happens. As a result, an egg gets fertilized and a baby is born. And so we live in a culture today that condones or that celebrates or that supports, that basically they just stopped fighting the fight, and they just accepted promiscuity as normal, and like that's just the 21st century. That's just how kids are today. No, folks, it's not how kids just are today. This is, there is the. Did you know that sexual sin is the most referenced sin in the Bible, because of our propensity to relationship and the battle that we have between self gratification versus implementing or being a part of a union in which you're contributing to a love relationship. And when that gets skewed or when it gets perverted, then it's all about what's in it for me. How does it make me feel? What's good for me? I want, it's whatever. And we could go down that rabbit hole, but being, this is a problem that we don't even talk about now. Our school systems are saying we should be talking about sexuality from kindergarten, like from the youngest of ages. I'm like, I was left scratching my head. I'm like, what? Like, this is insanity. And first of all, like, I'm a parent. I want to teach my own kids about this stuff. But anyway, it's so easy to get off the rails here, and I really want to try to stay in tune. But in today's culture, in today's youth culture, if you haven't explored on some level by middle school, if you haven't explored sex in some level by middle school, counselors, teachers, not all of them, but many of them, certainly your peers will find you strange and weird. Man, have times changed. But this is what happens. This is what happens when sin is left to cultivate in a culture. When sin takes root, it will produce the fruit it was intended to produce. And the devil is not quiet about those plans. In John 10:10, the Bible says the thief, the devil, comes only. He doesn't come to make friends. He doesn't come to strike a deal. He doesn't come to make you happy. He comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus says, I have come that you would have life and have it to the full. 2 worlds, guys. 2 worlds, 1 choice. You got to decide whether you're going to plant fruit trees or you're going to let weeds grow. Weeds will overtake. Weeds will destroy your garden if they're not plucked. And that's why you see all these analogies in the Bible about planting and seeds and growth and roots and trees and water, and God uses all of this symbolism to illustrate to us that in our own life we have got to pluck the things that are impure and we have got to cultivate the things that are pure, because whatever you allow to take root in your life is what's going to grow, and that's the fruit that is going to produce. And so sin left unattended will overtake the good fruit in your life. It will choke it out, and it will produce fruit of its own to kill, steal, and destroy. And here's what we have now. We have the fruit of killing. It's murder, murdering of children, taking of life, exchanging a life for convenience. Right. And you're too young. It's going to ruin your life. You're not going to be, listen, you made a choice, man. And the world would say freedom of choice. Well, yeah, you made a choice. In most cases, not in all, but in most cases, you made a choice to be sexually active. As a result, now you have a pregnancy, and that pregnancy is looked at as a problem. And so the answer from the sin perspective is kill it, get rid of it. And then And then you have the steal. The Bible says he comes to kill, comes to steal. And what happens? Well, the enemy and sin has stolen innocence. It's stolen childhoods. It's stolen healthy marriages. It's stolen firm foundations for child rearing. It's stolen intended life purposes. Yes, the choices matter. Choices have consequences. And that's why we live in a world today that wants to eradicate the consequences from people's choices. We want to say, oh, well, you can just do whatever you want. You can live however you want. And if something gets in your way, if it's inconvenient, you can just eliminate it. And so as a result, life is stolen. And so the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. And that's what he's done. He's tried to destroy anything that is moral, anything that's absolute. And absolute truth means that there's actual right and there's actual wrong. And here's the thing. If the enemy can convince the world that there's no absolute right, then everything is right. And so the things that are absolutely wrong are considered right. And that's what the Bible says. In the last days, men will call evil good and good evil. Just in the eradication, a destruction of everything that's morally and absolute, a destruction of order, right? So when you see these organizations that want to defund police and that want to just let people just live and whatever, and that is a tearing down of order, destroying things that are normal. And trying to create a new normal, destroying things that are godly, right? Destroying things that are natural. The Bible says that in the last days, men will exchange relations, natural relations for those that are unnatural, right? And this is what the enemy comes to do. This is the fruit that is produced when sin is allowed to cultivate in our culture. And so, there's a professor in a college ethics class presented his students with a problem. He said that there was a man who has syphilis and his wife has tuberculosis. So they're both sick. They already have had 4 children. One of those kids has died. The other 3 are considered to be terminally ill. Okay, so this is the scenario. Sick mom with tuberculosis, sick dad with syphilis, 1 child has died, 3 others are terminally ill, and the mother is pregnant. What do you recommend? That was the question that was posed to this college class, this ethics class. It's a very spirited discussion. The majority of the class said, well, this child has no chance. This child has a sick mom, a sick dad, 6 siblings, and they've already lost 1 child. They should abort the child. That was the consensus of the class. And the professor said, fine, you just killed Beethoven. Because that was Beethoven's story. His father had syphilis, his wife tuberculosis, and he had 1 sibling that had already died and 3 others that were terminally ill. Yet Beethoven became one of the greatest composers and music maestros in all of world history. And the story reminds us that God can do great things with a life the world would just judge and reject prematurely. The world will just reject it because you're making judgment calls about somebody's life, and you're completely and totally disregarding the fact that they may have something significant to contribute to culture, right? Besides, so far as God is concerned, every life is a Beethoven. Every life matters. Every life has a purpose. Every life has a meaning. And we all hold equal value and equal potential in his eyes. He didn't create you because he doesn't believe that you have something significant to contribute. We had a really, really sad situation this week where our dear friends, the DiVincenzo's, had a loss in their family, and their nephew DJ, who we've been praying for a long time, went home to be with heaven. This young man was 16 years old. And I was talking to his dad, and Dave told me, he said, and he wouldn't mind me sharing this at all. He said, Pastor, he said, the day that my son was born, the doctors told me that we were not guaranteed 24 hours with him. He said, I had 16 years with my son. He said before he was 14 years old, he had had 4 bypass surgeries and 2 heart transplants. And he said, and then 2 years later, cancer would take his life. And he said, you know what? That boy changed my life. And here's one thing that he said to me that really impacted me. He said, you know what my son told me, Pastor? He said, when somebody asked him, one of the nurses came in and asked him how he was doing. He said, you know, Dad, not every day is a good day, but every day has good in it. And I thought, man, is that a great perspective, right? Now that came from a kid who was terminally ill, who eventually, died. But the impact that he has had on nurses and on doctors and on family members, on this pastor, right, is going to rank that statement. I have repeated that statement in my mind every day since I heard it. I'm thinking about getting a sign put together and put it up in my office, because every day is not a good day, but every day has good in it, right? And so even though and what would have happened? What would have happened if that boy, if DJ had never lived those 16 years? Yes, he struggled. Yes, there was hardships, but we all have hardships. But man, that one statement has been a life change. That was a light bulb went off inside of me. That was me personally. James chapter 2, verse 5 says this: listen, my dear brothers and sisters, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith and to inherit the kingdom he promised those who love him? And man, I want to tell you, the world may look at you and may want to toss you away, throw you away, discard you, discredit you, tell you they may want to abort you. But I want to tell you something. God has chosen the things that are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith and to inherit the kingdom that he promised to those who love him. You all have value, man. Every child, every person, and I don't care what stripe you are, you still have value. And we have got to be a people that are interceding this year. That's our theme for the year, to intercede. If our country needs intercession, man, it needs it now. I think this is a great move on the part of the Supreme Court if they move ahead with this draft. I don't think it goes far enough, but that's my personal opinion. That's why we have high courts in this land. But man, to politicize that and to leak that information, what a travesty that was. If our nation ever needs the Lord to intervene in this country, it's now. I want to invite you out. This coming Thursday is the National Day of Prayer. Wherever you're at in the country, know that this Thursday is the National Day of Prayer, and hopefully church in your area is conducting a prayer service. Most of them will be at a town hall. We have a meeting at our town hall in Oxford at 12 o'clock, but we also have a service at 7 o'clock. And I invite everybody who can to come out and just be a part of that. Let's just pray, man. Let's just get together and let's just beg God to do something substantial in our world, because our world is hurting, and we need Jesus. We need Jesus. So guys, listen, I know it's a little bit of a heavy subject, but at the end of the day, I want you to walk away with this. You matter. You have value, no matter what the world tells you. The world will look down upon you in every way, but understand that God is great. You're a Beethoven in the Lord's eyes. And today can be a great day. So go and embrace your future, man. God's got great things in store for you. God bless you. Listen, I got to run. I got to go make my son some breakfast. All right. God bless you. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.